What's good with YouTube? Y'all already know. Big Flaco from a comedy perspective. You already know what time it is. Smashing, dashing, sliding on through with a whole lot of energy. So please hit the like, subscribe, comment, do all those things to help support your boy, and hit that bell notification for future fire content. So as you guys can tell by the title and thumbnail, Flaco joins a prison gang with question marks. I run Solano. Explanation one, right? First and foremost, let's get into this, man. Prison isn't the place to be, and it's all about promoting the message of positivity and staying away from BS and not coming in here, man. I don't wish anybody that walks a criminal path or walks a path out there in the streets, gang lifestyle, whatever. I don't wish any of you guys coming up in here. This just isn't the place to be. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning, right? What's the first thing that happened? When I first got locked up, there was all kinds of speculations. There was all kinds of rumors. People said that when I was in the county jail that I got moved and probably something happened. Then there was people that were dropping videos talking about, hey, he's either going to go to PC or he's going to get stabbed. And you had people say, oh, he has a feather on his neck, which was a cover-up. He's probably going to run with the natives, or he's going to join a PC gang, or he's going to join the SNY gang. What's the one thing that I kept on telling everybody from the get-go that happened until today? I said I was going to stand on my own 2 feet. Wherever they send me to GP, I was going to go to GP. They put me on a 4 HP guard, I was going to go to a 4 HP guard. If they put me in PC, they're going to put me in PC. At the end of the day, I was going to stand on my own. And to this day, that's where I stand. I'm not joining no PC gang, and I have no desire to ever join any type of clique or in any fashion from what I've seen. And from the stuff that I've seen from the get-go, it's just a whole different type of mindset. I don't try to pretend like I'm an active Northerner or Daniel or any type of political affiliation back home. I keep it 100. Even with those that are from back home that are, Northerners or Southerners, I'm always up front. And what the term Solano means, right? It's just the same word that they use in the Texas system or in the feds. It means that you run solo, that you stand on your own 2 feet. And, I don't tell people I run Solano or anything like that because technically, that's just something as far as for a title, you know what I mean? But to this day, I still stand on my own 2 feet. And, I don't try to disrespect anybody that has a desire to join any of these, SNY or PC gangs. Like I said, I have reports and, friendships with some that do walk that lifestyle. But I have no desire, no desire for the life that I've walked and, doing the things that I do to try to have a positive influence on others. I'd be a hypocrite if I decided to join any type of clique. First and foremost, no disrespect to anybody, but they just don't wiggle like back home, some of these people over here. It's just the truth of it. It's a whole different type of mindset. It's more about, whatever they do, they do. Like I said, it's not that, I've always told people before, it's hard to show respect to anybody. When I was doing the things I was doing, I was always taught by the Carnals that we don't respect even our enemies. We just don't disrespect them. We show common courtesy and we're cordial to them. Because when you have respect for people, you admire what they're about, you admire what they do, and you admire everything about them. That's what the word respect is based on. Disrespect means you just don't do anything to, get in their way and disappoint anybody. And that's where I stand today. I try to stay cordial. I try to show common courtesy. I try to show that I'm not against or for or whatnot. I don't care if you're part of a clique or not. I'm going to treat you the same I treat anybody because that stuff doesn't matter to me. That stuff doesn't dictate or affect my program one way or the other. But it's interesting, though, that you will see people who, I've seen people go back home, what I'm saying, that used to be, mainly from down south, join clique guys when they get on their side. I've seen people go to the full HP yards and join cliques, and it's just, like I said, it's not the same carnalismo, it's not the same unity, it's not the same high standards that you see back home, first and foremost. If you're going to abandon that lifestyle on the GP side,
you have 1 minute left.
I'll call back.
All right.
For me, like I said, as far as GP, I was GP for 10 months. And I didn't care where they put me. And I always told people, what's the one thing that I kept telling people? People said, well, you're going to have to run with somebody. Even when I was on the GP yard, I submitted my paperwork to the cats from AZ, the Chicanos, right? You know what I'm saying? But I still maintain my own program. They don't have the same type of program that we do back home, to where, especially probably maybe it was because of my age, but I was able to wiggle where basically I was on my own and was able just to do what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? I leave the market yard alone. I go work out by myself alone. Sometimes I was kicking with people. Sometimes I was associated with a few people. So, you know, this whole time, even though, you know, I've been on different types of yards since I've been here, I've still stood on my own 2 feet. You know, we know what happened over there. We know the situation that happened when I was on the GP yards and stuff like that. You know, what ended me up over here. But I'm still going to carry myself the same way I have for 10 months. And my whole goal is to work on myself, you know. And, you know, it's interesting because, you know, what I thought and expected, the different yards I've been on, it doesn't prepare you. It's nothing like I thought. Like, I thought you'd have more people that were, you know, trying to focus on the good that they need to do in themselves, that they were done with that life. It's like people come over here and they start to get worse than what they were before. That's 100% fact. So, you know, people may wonder, you know, yeah, Flaco joined the prison game. No, I won't join one. I have no desire to. And I'd rather stand on my own 2 feet. You know, I've had people say, oh, hey, Flaco, do you think you're active now? This and that. No, I don't think I'm active. You know, if there's anybody from back home that comes here, of course I'm going to have, you know, build a report with them just based upon where I'm from. And if they need the support that's needed, but I'm not going to try to pretend to push a line like I would in the past. You know, and don't get me wrong, that makes me doing my time a whole lot different. You know, I'm used to the structure. I'm used to having household policies and procedures, yard policies and procedures. I'm used to being in a leadership role where I guide my entity. And where, you know, even though I've been away from that lifestyle for so long, it sometimes is natural. And I'm not going to let that me used to doing my time that way be an excuse to either join a good or try to start my own, or there's all kinds of different things. Like I said, they operate a little bit different. Like I said, I don't speak on them. I talk to some of them on an individual basis. They're cool. If I have a relationship with one, that's where it stands. You know, if they have their issues or their problems, they got their own people that can actually play. I don't have to involve myself. If I have my issues or any type of funk, I don't need to ask anybody to back I can back my own play. And, you know, that's the whole mindset that I have to have in these type of confinements. Even if I go back home to California and I hit an SNY yard, you know, there's going to be different groups. Like I said, I'm not going to involve myself in their issues. If I have a personal relationship with somebody from any of those groups, it's got to be a relationship between me and them. But I'm always going to run solo. I'm always going to try to push for the greater good and better myself. You know, and what I use the term Solano, if you've done time in Texas or if you've done time in the feds, that's a term when you run solo. When you're on your own 2 feet, you don't try to hook up with no cliques. You just do your thing. And you're left on your own, but you defend your own. And sometimes that's a lot easier because if you only have to clean up your own mess, not worry about the politics and stuff, you don't involve yourself in the drama or bullshit. You don't have to back play somebody who puts you in a bad position. You know, it's really easy to fall out of favor nowadays. It's not about sympathy, it's more about jealousy and envy nowadays. It's more about, you know, people running packs and numbers because they're involved in whatever they're involved in. You know, and everybody's chasing that paper and chasing that bag instead of promoting unity. And that's just the truth of it, you know. And so, like I said, I won't disrespect anybody that walks that walk or lives in that lifestyle. It's not for me. The moment, you know what I'm saying, I walked away from this lifestyle a long time ago, the gangster I was the gangster for myself, for my family. Even though I haven't always made the right choices, I've been involved in crimes, I've been doing a lot of shit, you know what I mean, knucklehead stuff, but those choices were made for myself, you know, and those that maybe I backed the player, whatnot, those were people that I had relationships with that became so close that it wasn't part of a clique, that was part of a relationship. And, you know, to avoid all that, like I said, it doesn't mean I won't stand on my own 2 feet over any situation. There's not really much that I fear. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm getting old. I got to realize I'm not a kid no more, not a youngster and stuff, young blood. But there's not much that, you know, anybody that knows me, I've always been like that. Nothing really strikes fear in me. You know what I'm saying? I've always been one to react, before that fear sets in, because the more you think about issues and the more you think about problems, the more time it allows fear to set in. So I've always been one that acts on impulse. If I feel threatened, I take flight. I ask questions later. I handle my business there on the spot. I don't wait. Or I step away from the situation. I come back and deal with it on precisely. That's how we're raised. That's how we're schooled. And it doesn't change my philosophy and here and the ideologies I'm trying to promote within myself. I'm trying to sign up to be a teacher in peer-to-peer groups. I just talked to somebody today. I'm trying to do more programs. I'm trying to get into a research specialist, recovery service specialist. I'm trying to do a lot of things to help myself while still maintaining my spiritual growth. Because even with that, I don't associate with too many people. I really don't. I'm pulled towards people. But I see what happens when you start to build these relationships, and prison is, like I said, I got to keep on, pushing that line and speaking that prison is not the place that anybody wants to go, especially nowadays, man. And like I said, I try to invest compared to between California and Arizona. But, sometimes I do. I'm going to be 100 because I was in the system 18 years ago in California, and I was involved on a higher level. So going from that to now being in the position I am, it does have its values. Like I said, look what happened when I hit that yard with fucking Effie's son. You know what I'm saying? I'm able to play that role, and I'm able to just extract info around me for my own safety and security, and that's the way I'm going to continue to wiggle. That's the way I'm going to continue to move. But as far as prison games, no. I'm going to continue to run solo, stay away from that shit. I'm not going to disrespect it, but it doesn't mean that I sit there and admire it. It doesn't mean I'm going to sit there promote it or advocate. If that's your movement, that's your cause, hey, all the support you can do what you do. It just doesn't affect me. It doesn't involve me. And that's the kind of mindset that you really have to have, especially nowadays. Like I said, there's a difference between the GP groups where you have organizations running these groups, and then you get to the other side, that OHPs and the PC yards where they have clips or gangs. They're basically a bunch of friends that just pretty much click together, and they have each other's backs, and they have their own little set of rules. And like I said, I don't speak on it because it's not my business, but it doesn't mean I'm going to join one. Even if I go back to California, I know people from a lot of different life careers. I'm going to show respect, right? Not respect from the show. It's common courtesy from the show. I'm not going to disrespect them or their movement, but it's not going to be for me. I'm still going to wiggle the way I wiggle, down on my own 2 feet, try to find that spiritual solution, and continue to evolve and grow myself and become a better man by the time I get out. Because I know if I involve myself in all the other shit, it's just going to be a detriment to my growth. With that said, I'm out.